Well, happy Monday and welcome back to Lakeway Daily, your daily time of encouragement and focus. Today I wanted to continue something that we gave a couple of weeks ago, different social distancing life hacks. This is our kind of new normal for a while and we're all kind of learning on the fly, but I want to give you 5 more life hacks, 5 more things that you can do to help you thrive during this time of social distancing. The first one's a little silly, but it's packaged in an announcement as well, and it's this: buy a new internet router. So I made a video last week where I talked about how because of our shelter in place, I wouldn't be able to upload these videos because that required me going up to the church. I talked with Zach, our media guy, our worship leader, just an incredible leader, doing so much right now, and I explained to him my predicament, and he said, well, talk to me about your router. And I said, well, I bought it when Alex and I got married. He said, well, when did y'all get married? I said, about 6 years ago. He said, no, that's way too outdated. Apparently the things come obsolete in like 10 minutes. So I've been paying for 200 megabits of internet. I've been getting 13. I bought a new router and voila, in the matter of minutes, I am to 199. So I can upload these. That means that I can be on Zoom meetings and people can see my face. It has been a game changer for us. If you're rocking an old router, you might want to think about upgrading that because then your internet and entire life will be transformed. That's life hack number 1, buy a new internet router. The next few are kind of more serious. The second is this. This is an amazing time to develop a rule of life. Develop a rule of life. That might be new language to you. If you want to learn more about that, we did a lot of content as a part of our Lakeway Leadership Institute. Zach Castillo and I talked back and forth about our own rules of life, kind of what it means, what it looks like. You can find that on Lakeway's YouTube page. The full episode is there. But basically, a rule of life is committing to live your life in a particular way, particular patterns, doing things at particular times, in certain ways. It's kind of based around Matthew 18, verses 28 through 30, and I love the way Eugene Peterson puts it in the Message translation. It's Jesus speaking. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Listen to this. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. Jesus says, I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. It says, come and learn unforced rhythms of grace. And that's really what a rule of life is. It's not me forcing it upon you. It's not your boss forcing it upon you. It's not anybody forcing it upon you. But it's something that you choose to do to pattern your life in a particular way. So there's a lot of different practical ways you can do that. You can implement exercise. You can implement prayer or fasting. Maybe a really simple one for you is that when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to touch anything digital or technological until you spend time in the Word of God and in prayer. And just say for the first 10 minutes of my day, I'm going to center myself in that way. That's a wonderful start of a rule of life. So that's number 2, develop a rule of life. Number 3 is a hard one for me, but I think it's so important. Limit your news intake. Limit your news intake. So if you know me, I'm kind of a news junkie. I have subscribed to the local newspaper, The Eagle. I read that every single morning. I listen to news podcasts and political podcasts. If I'm on the elliptical a lot of the times, I'm watching a news network. I love the news. But the news right now is just sad. And if the first thing I do is if I wake up and I check my news app, I know that that's already setting the trajectory for my day in a pretty negative way. So what I've tried to do is really limit my news intake to 1 or 2 times a day. Usually I try to do it at night. I try to read up on all the latest events and what happened in the world that day, and then make sure that the last thing I see is something positive. So that's sort of my last thought as I drift off to sleep. It's hard, but I think it's so important because there's so much bad news that I don't want you to be uninformed, but I don't want you to be over-informed either. And there's a difference there. You need to be informed about what's going on in our world, but you don't want to be so over-informed that you feel scared, that you feel trapped, that you feel anxious. Limit your news intake. Number 3 is, or that was number 3. Number 4 is this: practice gratitude. Practice gratitude. You have something, you have many things to be thankful for. You've got to practice thinking about those things. Maybe for you that means each day that you're going to write 3 things down that you're thankful for. Maybe if you have a family, as you go around the dinner table at night, give 3 things that you're thankful for, or just one thing that you're thankful for. We have to intentionally bring our minds back to the beauty and the goodness that God has given us in times of crisis. I love the way Paul says it in Colossians 4, verse 2. He says, devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful, and being thankful. See, we can't be thankful unless we're being first watchful. We've got to be watching for the good. We've got to be thankful and intentionally look at the good things that we have to be thankful for. And one of the ways we can do that is to daily practice gratitude. Number 5 is a simple one, but it's really important. Number 5 is laugh. Please, please, please. We've got to keep laughing. We've got to keep smiling. We've got to keep remembering that this world is full of joy. As Paul says in Philippians 4:4, he says, rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. He knows that our tendency is not towards joy and laughter and happiness, but towards the more darker emotions. And listen, don't feel guilty if you laugh during this time. We've got to keep laughter and happiness and joy because that's part of who we are as people. Some of my favorite moments of being a pastor are times when I'm sitting around with a mourning family who's just lost a loved one and we begin to plan their funeral. And every single time, no matter what the circumstances, every single room like that I've been in, something happens. There's crying, there's mourning, but then someone tells a story. Someone tells something that loved one had said, and the room erupts in laughter, and through the tears we laugh. And I think that's one of the most poignant parts of humanity, is that we can laugh through the crying and that we can cry through the laughter. So please remember to laugh. Maybe watch an old movie that you used to love and brought you joy. Maybe read the comic strips in the newspaper first before you read the newspaper. Find something that can make you laugh, that can uplift your heart. Just remember in times like these too, I don't know if you heard about the circus fire, but you need to be praying for the circus fire well. It was intense. God bless y'all. Be safe.